Hey, good morning, guys. It is Tuesday, May 12th, and I'm posting this a day later just because reminding you that today you have your Unit 10 notes due. So I just wanted to give you an extra day and not overwhelm you with too much information or too much new content. So those notes from Unit 10 are due today. And I just posted Unit 11. It is now live, so you guys can start reviewing that. And just a couple quick notes that I want to mention before I talk about your assignment for the week is well, first of all, we only have 1 month left, which is really crazy to think about. Um, I think we have 4 weeks left, and it's just crazy. No matter if you're distance learning or learning back in the classroom, it's time really flies. So it's crazy to think about, and it's time for us to start thinking about the end of the year and start reflecting on what's happened this year and how we've grown as students and as teachers. And those details will come in the next few weeks. So I've also seen, you guys continue to have really high participation rates. So I really appreciate you guys doing the weekly check-ins and doing the assignments that I give you. It's really awesome to see how motivated and engaged you guys are. So thank you to everybody for continuing to participate. All right. Let's talk about your assignments for the week. I can see for the weekly check-ins, 21 of you guys have already responded to those. So thank you to those 21 people. I'll start reviewing those today. So make sure you do that if you haven't already. But every single thing that you're going to need for this week's assignments will be in the PowerPoint. So it's just kind of a one-stop shop for everybody here. And so what you'll need to do is a couple things. And I'm going to go ahead and open this up so we can kind of follow along here. But like our previous units, I'm going to have you guys copy down the notes from this PowerPoint, but there's a couple things I want you to take note of. So as you go through this, I do want you to copy down all the notes that are listed in bullet points here, but there are a few things that I want you to draw out. So I'm going to go ahead and go through those here. So the very first slide, I do want you to draw and label the neuron here. So this is a neuron or a nerve cell is another word for it. So as you draw this, please label it as well. So we have the dendrites here on one side. We have the nucleus here in the center. So this is a type of a human cell. We have the soma, which is the cell body, or basically where the cytoplasm would be. We have myelin sheaths. We have the axon, which includes the myelin sheaths and the axon terminals. So this neuron here, you have a bunch of these in your brain. Your brain is made up of neurons and all throughout your body. And this is how your brain communicates with the rest of your body. So it sends electrical signals down from the dendrites to the axon. So messages get sent, and so these will be in a big long chain as that electrical signal gets sent down. The dendrites receive them, and the axon terminals transmit them to the next dendrite. So over here on the right side, you might see, or you would see another neuron or nerve cell here that would receive the signal, the electrical signal from the axon. So make sure you draw that and then label and also record the functions of each of the parts of the neuron. Okay, so as you go through this, we'll talk about the nervous system. We have the central and the peripheral nervous system. We have different types of neurons. We have sensory, motor, and interneurons. Sensory is more for external stimuli. You think of like smell, taste, sight, sound, things like that. Anything that have to do with your senses. And then we have motor neurons. You think of a motor, it's like movement, right? So motor neurons are connected to your muscles, okay? And then finally, we have interneurons, which are going to transmit those impulses between other neurons. We have nerve impulse transmission. So this is kind of detailing how how electrical signals are transmitted from the axons to the dendrites. You can see that those transmitters are going across that synaptic gap. That gap is called the synaptic gap. And so you can see here's one here's one neuron, and then here's the other one. This is a cool little video. It talks a little bit in detail about how nerves work. So it's not required to watch this, but it is a really interesting video, and I do recommend watching that. Central nervous system. This is where we coordinate thoughts, interpret the environment, and this is the origin of all body control. No need to draw any of these diagrams here, but they are interesting to look at. So this is the central nervous system, and that does include your brain, okay? So The cerebrum, cerebellum, brainstem, and the spinal cord, those are the different parts of the brain. The cerebrum is kind of the brain that we think of. Those are separated into the frontal, parietal, temporal, and the occipital lobe, and they're all used for different purposes. So I am going to ask you to record these notes down here about the central nervous system. And then the peripheral nervous system. This is, you think of peripheral like peripheral vision. It's on the sides, anything you see on the sides of your vision, right? So this is any other thing besides your central nervous system, meaning the brain and the spinal cord. So I do want you to copy down this concept map. This is going to be part of your notes. So you have to, in addition to your notes, make sure you do the neuron drawing, but then also copy down this concept map as well, please, which talks about breaks down the peripheral nervous system, how we have the motor neurons, which connects our muscles, sensory neurons, which connects all of our senses, and then we have the somatic and the autonomic nervous system, which controls voluntary and involuntary responses, right? You think of like when you touch something hot, right? You like your hand bounces back. That's an an involuntary response. That's something like, I shouldn't do that, right? Your brain's telling you that that is danger. The heat is danger. Okay. Next few slides talk about the different senses. This is some really interesting information. All of these are connected to the nervous system in some way or another. So we talk about sight here. No need to copy down this diagram here. Just go ahead and copy down those notes. This is a kind of the cross section of an eye. So you can see that we have the eyeball here, and it's connected through this optic nerve, which is directly connected to the brain. And that's how our brain kind of interprets anything that we're seeing. No need to watch this video, but it is an interesting one that kind of connects or makes an analogy of the eye versus a camera. And they're actually much more similar than you might think. Sense of sound. There's going to be some videos that I'm going to have you watch that talk about the anatomy of the human ear. And then you can watch these if you want. This one actually is at the end of the presentation, so maybe just watch this one here. The sense of touch. This talks about kind of the skin anatomy, how we have the epidermis, which is the topmost layer of your skin. We have the dermis, which is the layer just beneath that, and that's where you have all the nerve endings. So anytime you feel pain, the nerve endings, the nerves in the dermis is receiving that pain and sending that signal to your brain. And then finally we have the hypodermis, which is right here, that fat layer and connective tissue that connects kind of the skin to the rest of your body, if you will. Cool video about how your brain reacts to pain. In case you're wondering, I might have gotten a question about that actually recently, but yeah, this kind of describes how our brain reacts to pain and how we interpret pain in different ways. Smell and taste, very, very simple. Just kind of a chemical comes into our mouth or comes into our nose, and it hits certain nerves, and then basically those chemicals connect to a receptor in our brain, and then our brain can interpret how or what that smell is, right? Same thing with taste. You have these receptors in these sensory cells in the taste buds that receive different chemicals in your food and send those signals to your brain, so you can interpret what those tastes are. A couple videos here, not requiring you to watch them, but if you like spicy foods, this talks about how we react to different spicy foods, and this talks about how we interpret smells as well. So if you want some nice visuals, these are some slides about neurological disorders. And then I'm going to go ahead and skip through some of these a little bit quicker, but I do want you to copy those notes down. Not requiring you to watch these, but they are some very interesting videos about people, firsthand accounts with neurodegenerative diseases, which means, just wait here for a second. Which means degenerative means something to kind of degrade or break down. So these, you can see Michael J. Fox, for example, has Parkinson's, which is a disease which you might see shaking in a lot of people. Muhammad Ali is another famous example, but basically the neurons in your brain start to degrade slowly over time, and they're terrible, terrible diseases to have. I hope none of you experience a disease like this at all, but I've had family members who have had neurodegenerative diseases, and it's really really tough to experience and to deal with. But some really kind of eye-opening videos here, firsthand accounts of people with neurodegenerative diseases. Mirror neurons. Go ahead and you can watch this video, but it basically talks about how when you see, for example, when you see someone be scared, okay, but you don't know what they're scared about. So let's say I'm sitting here, right, and someone's over there across my yard, and they get scared about something. I don't know what they're scared at, but I can see the reaction on their face that they are scared, or maybe they're laughing at something, or maybe they see something that's really cute and they have a smile on their face. Mirror neurons tell me to react in a very similar way. So if I see someone that's maybe grossed out, maybe they see something on the ground and it grosses them out, I'm going to see their reaction. I have no idea what they're grossed out about, but I'm going to see their reaction. And then I'm going to also kind of feel grossed out too, even though I don't know what it is, right? So that's kind of a mirror neuron. You're mirroring the emotions that someone else is feeling. Go ahead and skip over these for now, because the second part, so after you've done all the notes, you've written down or drawn the neuron and labeled it, and you've also written down the concept map. This is the second part of your assignment for the week. Is all of these videos are required for you to watch, and instead of doing a written paragraph summary, we're just going to have you do a bullet pointed summary. So this is about the nervous system in general. This first one here, crash course. This is the skin. Okay, so Bozeman, Mr. Anderson here talks about the layers of the skin. The science of hearing here. So this will talk about the anatomy of the ear. This one will talk about the evolution and the anatomy of the human eye. And then finally, how do drugs affect the brain? So we all take different, well, not all, but some of us take different drugs, and this talks about how those receptors, or how our brain perceives those drugs. So if you take like a ibuprofen or a Tylenol, right, to reduce pain, maybe from a headache, and then how is your brain reacting to that? So all 5 of those, please do bullet pointed summaries. So that's part of your assignment as well. All right, and that's it for the week. I know it's a lot, but it's a good amount of points. It is, let me check how many points it is, 1 second. So the notes themselves are going to be 35 points, and these video summaries here are going to be 25 points. So that's a total of, what is that, 50, 60 points. Okay, 60 points for this entire unit. And that's it for the week. So if you have any questions, reach out, do that weekly check-in first, and enjoy your week, guys. Good luck, and we'll talk to you soon.